Now he want to experiment to see how things. What are we doing, bro? What are we doing? No, let me stop.
All right. Good. For those of you all who are tuning in and probably wonder what happened to the regular stuff, I'm just experimenting because for some reason, whenever we put our regular demo on, it keeps coming up like they're trying to mute the music as if we are doing something illegal. You know what I mean? Yeah. So they muted in different countries. I don't know why, but anyway, I just thought I'd try it. I want to see what happens after the show. Yeah, now that I got that out the way, greetings and welcome to Unique Perspectives Love Talk Radio, where I'm your host, Mr. Charles Dixon, and I am here with my co-host, Mr. Adam Ford. How are you?
Hey, sir? What's up, fam? I'm not in the hallway. Good to see everybody on the Thursday afternoon.
Whatever, man. I don't care.
I'm sorry. I could not resist it. That was too easy to get you on that one. Hey, I'm Adam Ford. I'm not in the hallway. I'm not in the bathroom either. Hey, how y'all doing?
Leave my audio set up again. I'll get it together. Shoot. Anyway, so what's going on, man?
Not much, man. Not much. I was actually thinking about something earlier today. I'm trying to remember what it was. I was just thinking about, okay. So, not to get all personal with my own personal business, but I think it's important for us to really take care of ourselves as much as we possibly can. Sure. You know what I'm saying? I started. It was funny because I started back working out. Was it yesterday?
Okay.
And it's all that first day, that first week or two was always
make you sore.
So hard. But I'm committed to making this thing work. I mean, to get my, and I'm not sick, I'm not dying, I'm not sitting around limping around, but at the same time, there are some things that I am aware of with my own health that I need to really begin to take seriously and do some things and change some things, honestly. And I think that for me is one of the biggest challenges is really understanding, hey, I need to change some things in regards to my diet, physical activity, when I go to bed, when I get up. So that way I increase not only the quantity of life that I have, but the quality of life that I have. So that when I get older, I'm not regretting decisions that I made today, but that my tomorrow self can actually begin to benefit what I did today. That's really where I'm at right now. Was really making some real significant changes in terms of, like I said, just taking care of myself.
Exercise for yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's the headspace that I'm in right now. Was really just committing to that, getting motivated to that, and just doing what I need to do at the end of the day. No more excuses.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Just doing what I need to do.
Yeah, no, that's what's up, man. Yeah. Somebody having an awakening moment.
I mean, I've had the awakening moment. I've been here for a minute, but it's like I said, how you know.
Yeah, it's lazy. You be lazy.
Yeah, you get lazy, and you get lethargic, and you don't want to do it, and then you get something that makes you go, oh, let me get on my game.
Get myself together. Yeah,
let me get myself together. Have a talk with yourself in the mirror and really begin to, confront yourself with what you need to do and what you know how to do and what you should be doing right now. Real talk.
Especially if you want to remain here, it ain't like we spring chicken.
Yeah. Hey, we done crossed the 50 line, the 50-yard line. You know what I'm saying? There are some things that, and again, we're not old. We're not old. We're getting older, but we're not old. But we just need to make sure that we're doing what we need to do so that we can have that quantity of life. But at the same time, also have the quality with the quantity. I mean, it's one thing to live and to be alive, you know what I'm saying, and you're just in that mode of existence. But are you actually enjoying your existence? Are you enjoying the life that you have? Have you done what you needed to do to take care of yourself so that you can enjoy the rest of your life along with everybody else?
No, it makes absolute perfect sense.
Yeah.
All right. So, all right, Mr. Ford, today we are talking about something that's certainly not new to mankind, but I have to say, over the years and maybe, experiences that people have delved into, whether post-marriage or even haven't even reached marriage before. But back in the day, there was certainly no mystery to people living together that were not married, right? You ever notice how if you were a young kid and you went over to your aunt's house and all of a sudden we called her boyfriend Uncle Joe, and he ain't no kin to us,
right?
He ain't your husband either. He just lived there, right? Yeah. We just be like, "Hey, man, how you doing, Mr. Joe?" And you think he lived there all the time, and you'd be like, "Well, I guess this is her husband." And being young, we didn't know no better. We just thought the person lived there. But that was like they were just like old school shacking, and they didn't care nothing about it. And so, of course, coming up like you and I have, coming up in the pews,
right?
Of course, this course of action was frowned upon. They would say, you don't do this, and don't you live it, all of the above.
Man,
needless to say, I've certainly had my trips around the moon in this area,
you said around the moon.
So I can keep it a buck on the show and tell you that. And I'm going to give it my experience. Everybody has their own experience about it, and we'll get all into it. And you can read the thing if you don't mind. Have it in a second. But yes, that's right. Can pull it up anyway. So, but to me, I found that I just believe. Again, I could err on the side of one way or the other, but I do believe there is supposed to be a particular level of mystery that you're not supposed to tread past, and that before covenant, right? And I ain't talking about just intimacy. What I'm saying is, like, there is a discovery zone and ongoing discovery that happens that assists with you blending with your partner post-marriage.
Okay.
This discovery, like, someone say, I didn't even know I've been married to this man for 20 years, but I'm still learning things, right? You're still learning how that person is. So sometimes what happens when we, quote unquote, from my opinion again, when we play house, it gives you all of the fixings and conveniences of marriage physically, right? But, of course, there are things that we don't have. And I'm sure people would argue, yeah, we don't need it. I don't care. This piece of paper, whatever. Everybody has their things. Mm-hmm. But to me, that's why to me, some of the experiences that I've had in this space, they just tend to, put you in a place where you're overly familiar. You take things for granted a lot faster. And most importantly, when you're not married, but you're living together, people are depending on you. Like, let's just say, not everybody is saying, look, we live together and I'm paying all the bills. You just go to work and keep your money. That's not the case for everybody. Mm-hmm. Some people are like, here's my half, there's your half. You know what I mean? It just depends on the dynamic. Right. And so in those situations, when we go and when we buy into all of these things, some people, they putting their names on a bunch of things together. And then when someone decides they no longer want to play anymore, mm-hmm. I'm going to a different sandlot, right? And it's not to say that this doesn't happen in marriage, because it does, but it happens a lot differently. Yeah. And you have a lot of rights behind you to protect you. Right. So that's kind of like my thought about it. And we're going to get more deeper into it, but I've just found in some of my experiences, it's just like, you often say to yourself, the trouble you took to do all of that, you may has refrained in plan to do it right. way, right? And just leave it at that. So yeah,
Right.
we can go ahead and read the thing real quick.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway, cohabitation. Today's new marriage in lieu of marriage. Well, the old folks used to call it shacking up, where for one reason or another, two people who started out infatuated with each other eventually decided that playing house was much more advantageous than the traditional route to the altar, and thus it began. Marriage and living together, or cohabitation, each present unique advantages and disadvantages, with marriage offering legal protections and societal recognition, while cohabitation allows for a test run of living together, but with fewer legal safeguards or fewer legal ramifications, depending on what side of gap you're on. Ultimately, the decision of whether to marry or cohabitate is a personal one, based on individual values, priorities, and relationship goals. But is it possible that some have lost faith in the traditional white picket fence and opted for modern black matted railing? What?
No,
Okay.
but what I'm saying is, when you think of the white picket fence, you think of everything rosy and
Right, I
going
get what you're
well.
saying. I get it
So
now. I get it.
black, I said the black matted part because if you notice nowadays in the automotive market,
Right,
people
black
are
matted.
buying cars
Yeah.
and then their aftermarket spraying the car black matted
Right.
and gray matted and all that kind of
Right,
stuff. So
right.
that's where I came up with that.
Yeah.
So yeah,
That's it.
I mean, listen, and later I'll go through some pros and cons of both that I have over there. But
Yeah.
like I said, it seems that, let's just face it, nowadays your pool of potentials, typically because the world is so experienced and everyone has sampled one area of life to another, it's not uncommon to come across someone who has either not been married or have not had children or not have lived with somebody. 9 times out of 10, if you're dating or talking to someone has a story that they can say, well, yeah, I live with this person, or I did this and I did this, that, and the other. And I think it has become so commonplace because marriage, for some, not all, but for some, has appeared to be so far off in the distance. Okay. It's as if the living in option is like, it's inviting, it's quick, it's less, you have less things to consider before doing it. I mean, the living thing can start as somebody steady coming over there every night, then all of a sudden, before you know it, a month later, I should just go ahead and bring my stuff. And then the person at your house. So it's different than marriage and all of the things you got to go into and the phobias that come with some of those things like that. And so people are more apt to test than they are to be in real time, right?
Right.
And I say test is when we are going into something, living with each other. We would be lying if we didn't think, yeah, I'm moving in here and this is the end of it all, and I ain't going nowhere ever again. Now, you may have that thought intention-wise when you get married, right? But when you are not married, you're just thinking it's a good idea. I either care about this person or think I love them, or I'm overly infatuated. Either way, I need to be with them all the time. So I think this is a good idea to start here. And so we get comfortable and we think we can trust the person. We don't think our lives in danger living with them or whatever. So we take the shot and we do it. And some people I've known, they have done it for years. I'm not saying they didn't have hellacious relationships throughout the years, but they've done it for years. And I guess they still done it. Everybody has their stories. And then you have some people who have done it with several people. I live with Terry. Yeah, I live with Kevin. You know, I used to live in Georgia with so-and-so. You'd be like, anyway, so, you know, all those things. So you never know. It's just a lot of stories. And so to me, if I'm a woman, I'm only speaking as a man, but if I was a woman, I would at least try to be very trepidatious as to who, if I'm not married, but I'm doing the living in thing, right? And I'm saying to myself, I need to be very trepidatious with how I move with presenting myself as a spouse unofficially. That's what you're doing. You're presenting yourself as a spouse unofficially. And so let me tell you something that I thought about years ago that kind of changed how I looked at it a little bit.
Okay.
And I wrote it like this. It's just two little lines. When we rent, it's still public. Right? When we rent, it's still like think about it like when you get married. So I said when we rent, it's still public. When we buy, it's ours. Right? So when you rent, even though you're living together, both people are still public because they're not married.
Right.
They're still cohabitating.
Right.
So it's more, actually, to be honest, you think it's fun, but the risk goes up because now we're closer, but still unofficial.
Right.
So it's like, okay, it's at least you give yourself a running great chance when you commit the grand scale, right? And you get married and you figure, so we're going to work on this day by day. We're going to try to do this day by day, what have you. But when you jump in and you say, let's go, it feels good. Yes. And it's quick. I'm not going to lie. It feels good. It's comfortable. It's quick. It seems less risk from the outside.
Yeah.
But on the inside of it, basically, it's nothing makes you feel a little uneasy about sharing space with someone who, let's just be honest, when there is no marriage there, when turbulence comes, the person can go get in their car. You can go in your room. You can even go into your mother's house and have dinner over there when you're married and turbulence come. When turbulence come, living with each other, you know what? You need to get your stuff. No, I'm going to have it outside. You know what I mean? So especially, it usually depends on whose place it is.
Right.
You know, so ladies, let us tell you this. I'm sure you've heard this before. When we grew up, the old dudes on the corner, when they talk about this kind of subject, well, if Bruce is here, he would back me up on this one. The old guys would say, don't move in, young blood, without having your own place. Because when you move in with a woman, you one argument from being evicted. He would say
they're not wrong. They're not wrong.
What he was trying to say, even though it was funny at the time.
Right.
But what I took out of it was less about, okay, a woman getting mad and telling you to get out. But I took it as, yeah, it'll likely happen that way because it's out of place.
Yeah.
It's out of line, right? It's an out of line. To me, it's an out of line scenario. Let me say this. There are situations and things that happen in people's lives that, heck, somebody will be grateful if somebody say, don't worry, I know this happened to you. You can crash on my couch or whatever for 2 weeks or whatever, a month. That's different from somebody saying, yeah, I just know I need to go ahead on and just, I figure, I'm paying, 5,000 and you paying 3. We may as well just go ahead. I'm gonna move in your house. And look, I'm really bluffing on the 5 because most of the time the men, we living in a car. And then
not a car. No,
I have to say it ain't all men, FYI. But I have to be honest. In most cases, I've seen the women carrying it more solid than us. We are the ones who move in more so than them moving in with us.
Right.
You'll find most of these houses where people living together, it's her house. He moved in it.
He moved in it, right.
You might find some, it's going to be a small tier market of the men who are consistent with their own business and their own places to have their stuff together to offer that to a woman. It's not that a man probably won't do it. He don't have it to offer it. Wow. She does. Wow. So then he goes and that's it. So, Yeah.
Yeah. So just, I guess for me, from my walk of life in terms of where I've come from, yeah, Charles, you're right. We grew up in the church, where they literally specifically preached against, shacking up,
Yeah.
somebody who you're not married to. And
Yeah.
regardless of how hard the preacher preached, they still did it.
Of course you
Here's the
did it.
thing,
Yeah.
though. But here's the thing. So it was almost like a secret. You know what I'm saying? I mean, sometimes it wasn't, which made it worse. It was like they just out doing what they did. Y'all just sinning out loud, huh? Y'all just sinning out loud?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Y'all just biblically sinning out loud like that? All right. Okay. No, but I so I've never had I've never had the experience of living with somebody who I was not married to. Whenever I've lived with somebody, I have always been married to, and there's only been two of them.
Oh,
It's only
okay.
been two of them. It ain't been multiple people. It's only been two.
Yeah.
But I think if you look at it from the perspective of yeah, a commitment, but definitely a covenant between the two of us,
Yeah.
and we're coming to cohabitate physically. I think here's the thing though, Charles. So in the cohabitation, we think about the physical aspect of it. Okay, sharing whatever, rent or your mortgage,
Yeah.
furniture, things like this, things like that. But we hardly ever really recognize the emotional cohabitation that
Oh,
we do with one another. And what
wow.
happens is when we don't agree on a particular thing, or we have a different perspective on a different thing,
Yeah.
because you don't have the safeguard of marriage,
Mm.
that locks you into that
Yeah.
relationship and that
Yeah.
covenant that you have with your spouse, because you're just cohabitating physically together. I can get my stuff, or rather, I can just
It's
take your
no,
stuff
and
and throw
go.
it out.
Yeah.
Because
It's
we
no
don't have an
security.
existing right.
Security. No security.
We don't have
Yeah.
an existing agreement with one another. We don't have an
Yeah.
existing covenant with one another. So it's
Yeah.
whatever I want to do whenever I feel like it. And so if I'm the type of person that's temperamental and argumentative, and you're not getting on my page in terms of what I think should be happening, then well, we're not married. You can get your crap and go.
Yeah.
You can get out. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because we're not together like that. But when it comes to a marriage, we in it now.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully the idea is, hey, because some of y'all, I don't know. Hopefully the idea is we're locked in this now. We are literally locked in this, and we got to figure out what we need to do in order to be able to agree to be able to live together.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And so because you don't have that in there, now it's just whatever. You know what I'm saying? So the other saying, Charles, and I know I'm probably gonna get in trouble with this one.
Okay.
I'm gonna get in trouble with this one. The old players on the corner would say, well, why buy the cow when the milk is free?
Wow.
And
Yeah.
that's the reality, right? If
Yeah.
you can, if you're the kind of person who is opportunistic, and you can take advantage of a situation where you don't have to spend anything out of your pocket, it's not costing you anything out of your pocket, why should you go through the trouble of just purchasing the whole thing when they're offering it for free?
So the good part in that is what you're saying is when I took out I'm gonna let you keep going, is the commitment should cost you.
It absolutely
should
cost
you. Yeah. Because when it costs you, it affects your performance. When it doesn't,
it means you're not going to dip out quick.
Yes,
because you have a vested interest in the success and the longevity of our relationship. That means I'm here because I'm interested in this. I'm vested in this. I put time, money, resources, energy, effort into the success of our relationship. So I'm not going anywhere.
Wow.
It's going to take a whole lot to get me out.
Yeah.
But if I have not put any time, energy, resources into the relationship, it didn't cost me nothing. Which really means, Charles, if you really think about it, so you don't value this because you didn't put anything into it.
Yeah.
You didn't even match what I did. You know what I'm saying? You just kind of like, well, I mean, it is what it is. It didn't cost me nothing.
Yeah, that's the point. It should cost, because that's the whole point of covenant. it's costing her and it's costing him.
It costs both of
So
them.
you address it differently.
Exactly.
And listen, people, I hear the utters and groans in the audience and then beyond in the world saying, but it's too expensive to it makes sense today to live together because it is high.
Wow.
Things are high, food is high, gas is high, mortgages, rent is high. So why not move with my man or my woman if it's going to save us money? We love each other anyway, right? And so again, since I've been wrestling with this title, I've been thinking about things from a lot of different perspectives. And I said, believe it or not, when couples get to the point where they're discussing possibilities or what should our next step be, like if that means living together, essentially what's really being said and nobody's really addressing is, do you think this may be a good time for us to entertain the talks of marriage? That's really what it's saying, because no one really wants anybody. I don't care what you say. It's convenient. Yes, it saves money. We can put our money to all that is beautiful. But nobody really wants anybody to willingly come into their life just for a dress rehearsal.
Wow.
Because think about it. Even on the night before the marriage, they tell you, well, come out Friday night and plan to stay late because we're going to have a long dress rehearsal. Right. But guess what? That dress rehearsal has a very short shelf life. Right. It starts and it's over. Right. Shacking, we go into shacking most times with an infinite mindset. No kind of, it's just going to be whatever. You my boo, my ride or die. And we don't say nothing about it, right? And we just go on with life. When women, I know for a fact, a lot of women who have been raised, even if you were dysfunctional, at some point, you've heard the conversation from an old lady, somebody at the church, or aunt, a teacher. Well, one day you want to be able to do this for yourself so you can get you a nice husband and he can do this, this, and this, right? Mm-hmm. So no one comes around you telling you, girl, get your degree, make you some good money so Stevie can move in your house. Nobody's teaching you that, right? Even though this happens, nobody wants that reality. And to be honest, I don't want to make this sound like this isn't a permission slip, but I'm just going to be honest with you. Back when I entertained this lifestyle, Adam, I never did it from the perspective of, oh, you got an apartment? Oh, how much you pay over there? Well, I'm going to move over there. The one or two times that I did this years ago, it was let's get a place together.
Okay.
It's not marriage. I looked at it as mutual buy-in, mutual skin in the game.
Right.
When men, I don't care, here's another argument that's controversial. When men move in on women, it's convenient. They're loving. Women are always trying to do what they can to be there for their man.
Right.
But to the core, it's not an attractive thing.
No, it's not.
It's not an attractive thing to carry a man.
No.
Right? He may say he's going to give you some money on the bill. I'm going to give you, might get paid. But the whole psyche of a woman is security and protection.
Right. Yeah.
If she's already protected and secure, I don't necessarily need you to add to my alarm system. What about what you're going to establish on your side so that I can feel safe with you? Right. So that's why I didn't do it that way back then. So what I'm saying is you have a lot of people nowadays who are living with people who they were in love with. What's my boo? This, that, and other. And I'm helping them out. And one of the worst things can happen to a man is when he is enabled. When you enable a man, men are supposed to have an organic fight in them to be who God created them to be, who are protectors, providers, and all of those things. Well, guess what? If I'm laying up under you, I'm not organically who I was created to be.
Right.
I'm now the weaker vessel, right? So the point is, we got to look at this thing for what it is. And so I remember one time we were talking about the church thing. One time there was an instance of an experience I remember. I was helping a friend out at his church. You probably know what I'm talking about. But I was helping a friend out back home with his ministry. I remember there was some people at the church that were coming. And you know how we were raised, Adam. It's like, even though there's a lot of hypocrisy and different things, but back in those days, if they didn't think you was walking the walk, you weren't involved in ministries and things like that. You weren't going to say, yeah, me and Bobo live together. Can I lead praise and worship? No, you go on. That's back in the day, right? So I remember this couple coming, and one of the lady was in church, and she was raised in church, but the person she had with her that was living with her wasn't. Ooh. She argued with the pastor. We stayed after church one day. We were just talking. And this lady said, show me a scripture in the Bible where it says something about living together. Because she was just trying to tell him, if you can't tell me something about living together, blah, blah, blah. So I was just being a fly on the wall listening because I wasn't the pastor. They were just talking, and she was emotional. But I said, well, if I can interject just for a brief second, because the pastor wasn't saying anything, I was getting concerned. But anyway, so I said, there is a scripture that says not to let your good be evil spoken of.
Okay.
That means if you are presenting something, saying something that can hinder your brother.
Oh, yeah.
That's considered tripping them up.
Right.
So the message that comes with seeing two people together that you know aren't married and they are in church. Now, I'm not talking about coming to church and getting the word and trying to get your life together. I'm talking about people that are doing this and being active, right? If you're being active doing this, that is like a correlation of tripping up your brother or your sister. Because now we confused. We like, so Adam, you think this is okay for them to do? All right. So now you got discord in the ministry or whatever like that. So all I am saying is, when we have these unctions to live together, because it's becoming now, Adam, it's seeming like it's like a common attrition, where once upon a time you had the women or the men would meet the women, and that conversation would be, well, what is your intentions? Because women and men were at least trying to be marriage minded. Right. You were trying to say, well, if I'm going to be with her, or if I do move, then let's go and do. He told me 3 months, 6 months, a year, whatever. Right. He gave you a plan. Right. But nowadays, they're not even having that conversation about your intentions. Basically, you work, you got some money, or basically not even working. How you got money coming in? If you got money coming in, you can contribute. Whether he's moving her in or she's moving him in, as long as you got money and we liking each other and we messing with each other like that, it makes sense to us to start staying together. And that's the unfortunate path we're taking nowadays. We're choosing to practice more so than choosing to be purposeful. If we're going to say to ourselves, we should think about moving into each other, then that tells me then this person is thinking about marriage. We should talk about that and the reality of when that can happen and how that should be. Because in most cases, just like Adam said, it's the old school truth. And we understand this from the male side of it.
Right.
But how many of you have known people that you knew either the man or the woman really wanted to get married? And the person moves in and their friends will be like, y'all moving in? Oh, when are y'all gonna get married? Oh, soon as this so and so, we already got the place picked up, we get married in 3-4 months. It turns into 3 to 5 years.
Right.
And that is because when people are allowed to practice, it's no longer a sense of urgency. Yeah. Men should always have a sense of urgency. Yeah. When they don't have a sense of urgency, there's a sense of too much comfort, right? So the point is, you got to have a sense of urgency. And so when it comes to these kind of situations, it's comfortable. And it's easy because you ain't got to worry about sending out invitations and picking out where you're going to go to a destination to get married, or are you going to go to Justice of Peace. It's just simply get your bag, sell your stuff, and come over here.
Right.
It's easy. But when you do it, it is costly.
Right.
I promise you, it's costly to allow somebody to, and guess what? It's disrespectful to your future.
Wow.
It's disrespectful to your wife or your husband to have a list of roommates that got to experience every aspect of you like a spouse, but they're not your spouse.
Wow.
So now you're saying, oh, think about it. Once we sharing the same key, all heck goes on in that house. All heck goes on in that bedroom.
Right.
And so now when that engagement is over, that experience expires. Now we have trained ourselves to live outside a covenant. So now the next person is easy. Let me move Steve in. Let me move Carl in. It's easy. And now you keeping on going, but you're disrespecting your future. Because the future that's waiting for you to align yourself so that the alignment can happen is delayed because you're busy rolling with decoys, right? You're rolling with the decoy is the distraction meant to cause you to lose your fervency about marriage.
Right.
That's what happens when you play marriage. You lose the fervency for it.
Right.
So that's why I say we have to be more diligent and say, listen, let's stop having these talks about living together and shift it. Because living together says somebody is ready to take it a step further. Somebody wants to be closer.
Right.
We may package it in let's live together, but you don't really want to live together. You want to get married. Let's just call it a book. Okay. You know what I mean? If to this, I'd be willing to bet you most men, if the woman is tolerating you to this moment, because we get on the women's nerves and vice versa. But anyway, they're tolerating us to this moment. But make no mistake about it. If a man came home from work and told a woman, I really appreciate you being there. I'm in a rough spot. You was there for me. You opened up your door. I appreciate it. But I want to tell you something. You deserve more than just this. So that being said, let's go get married. But when? Don't worry, we're going to the courthouse tomorrow. We'll work out the marriage stuff later.
Right.
The official marriage stuff.
Wedding stuff. Yeah.
Clean and honest. Yeah. Because I don't want to live in a dirty situation. And I don't want to muddy you up. So let's do this, because at the end of the day, it's not a good win-win for both parties, because men walk away emotionally damaged. Heck, when men get hurt, it throws them off for seasons. When women move in and allow men to move in on them, it does something to their emotional being. And it ruins and sears a lot of healthy things that are supposed to be nurturing and budding and all those things. And so when somebody is searing you, that means they're burning you. And when things are burned, the remnants are charred, which is i.e. why we call people bitter. Wow. It's charred. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. And so that's why we can't keep making these casual decisions. They feel good. They sound good. Listen, Adam, I have been in situations where my back was against the wall. And I'm not talking about back in those when I was in my 20s and maybe 30. I'm talking about in life, when certain matters of life happen, your back gets against the wall. It was easy for me to say, I can sure go on over to so-and-so. She got a big house. She'll let me live in there if that's what the situation was. But I believe the reason God continued to give me favor to evolve out of it was because I was determined to be steadfast in it. Irregardless of what it looked like, I still stayed in it. and navigated through it because I stuck to just the beliefs of how I'm supposed to move as a man, right?
Right.
I would, don't get me wrong, I would appreciate it. It would be a wonderful gesture for your woman to say, come, you can lay on my bosom in your time of stress. I got you. But I'm supposed to have you.
Right.
We supposed to have each other. But
Right.
the way I look at it, I just kind of look at it that way, where if we get into that point where we're in so much anxiety about being together physically, then we need to address that. But addressing it does not need to come from us practicing.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? That's all. That's just my opinion, y'all. That's it. I want everybody to know I'm not just saying in the book nowhere. This is just how I see it. That's all.
Yeah. So let me just add to that because you said a lot right there. I was doing a whole lot. But let me ask this question, and I want us to consider this just in a basic thing. So, is free better?
Is who?
Is free. Something that's free. Something that's free.
Wow.
Is free actually better? Let's think about it like this. You know, sometimes if somebody gives you something and, you know, it might have been it might have been nice, or it might not have been nice. The quality of it might not have been as good, but it was free. Yeah. Whatever they gave you, it didn't cost you a cent. It didn't cost you anything. All you had to do was accept it and go along with the flow with it. You know what I'm saying? And so I'm sitting here thinking to myself, well, most of the stuff that I have gotten in my life that did not cost me anything, that was free, usually wasn't that good. Usually the quality of that thing was as such that you could probably only get maybe 1 or 2 or 3 uses out of it, depending on what it was. But I realized, Charles, that when I actually spend some money on something, and if it has to be of a certain quality, a certain caliber, the reality is, Charles, it's going to cost me something. And I've learned in my little bit of life that when it costs me something, it's worth it.
Wow.
There is intrinsic value that is there. Again, if you compare the two, something free versus something that costs you something. The free thing was free. But what quality was it worth? Was it really worth it in terms of what it returned to you, in terms of your usage? Or was the thing that cost you something more worthwhile? I realized, Charles, in my little bit of life, like I said, in terms of being married, that even though marriage costs me every single day, it's worth the price. You see what I'm saying? It's worth me making the investment. I don't need to cohabitate with somebody who I'm not married to, because that is something that's free. And it may have some value in terms of it being free.
That's your house?
That was my house.
Okay.
Let me make sure somebody's not trying to burn the house down. But anyway, my point is this, that if it's free, Charles, then it might not be as good as the thing that I actually had to pay for. So I don't want to live with somebody for free. I want to pay full price.
Wow.
Because it's only in the full price that I get the full experience of what it actually should be. You'll notice that whenever if you think about it, if you compare certain car models, you pay for what you get. You know what I'm saying? That's why certain car models are on the higher end, because you pay more for that particular car in terms of the quality that it gives you versus a car that's on the lower end. Well, again, you get what you pay for. I think some of us have been so deceived and conditioned to believe that free is better, that easier is better, that I can just live with you and we don't need to get married. That's easy. That's free. But if I'm not actually paying the price for some of this stuff, then I'm not actually getting out of it the most that I possibly can get. I think some of us again have been lulled because of our society in terms of, oh, it should be easy. You know that commercial that that company did about having the easy button and being able to press the easy button and everything just doing what it does or whatever like that. We have been living in ease for a little too long.
Yeah.
And I think now when it comes to actually making a commitment to somebody, because listen, I don't need the milk. I want the cow. Give me the whole thing. Let me purchase the whole thing. Let me experience that thing. And I know that's not necessarily a perspective that everybody has. But again, I have learned in my little bit of life that when I spend money or time or effort or energy or resources, when I spend, it's actually worth it. And it is much more than the thing that is free in terms of its quality, in terms of what it yields to you. This is why the whole idea of cohabitation to me is a little crazy because, again, it's not costing me anything. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not just talking about monetary. I'm talking about that emotional cost that we have to pay. Some of us trying to skirt by, some of us trying to get it free because we don't want to pay the emotional price. Some of us trying to skirt by, get by because we don't want to pay the mental price. Some of us want to skirt and skip by because we don't want to pay the price that's there. So my question to you is this: can you afford it? Why are you looking at it if you can't afford it?
Why you in that
are
deal?
you considering you sitting here window shopping on things that you wish you could buy, but you can't afford it?
Wow.
Can you afford it?
Yeah.
That's what I want to know. I need to come hard on this because a lot of us have taken that cheat, have taken that have skipped that step, thinking that we can get all of the benefits of a marriage without actually being in a marriage. No. No, you're gonna mess yourself up if you keep doing it like that. It should cost you something. It shouldn't be convenient.
Wow.
It shouldn't be. If it's convenient, you're doing something wrong. It should cost you and your partner something.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna say nothing else.
What about, here's another factor that we didn't bring in that's I've heard through talking to people. This is the strong sentiment about this is, I guess, a strong reason for why some people live together. Some people have been married, they've been divorced, and they have vowed to themselves, I'm not going to do that again. This time, I'm going to live with the person first and discover what I do or don't like before going forward. My thoughts on that is, to me, when I hear that, I hear you're not listening enough, you're not looking enough.
Okay.
Because there's nothing you're going to learn about a person that you let skate in under the radar in your house that you can't learn about through communication and observation. Now, granted, yes, maybe the person won't tell you they leave socks on the floor. I'm sorry, I leave the toilet seat up. But guess what? If you're that anal of a person, ask those questions and ask the person to be 100 with you about it. But there are some things like internal devils and demons you're not going to learn about when someone is in your house, because devils and demons are clever enough to deceive you long enough to get you to commit if they're after something. And once you commit, now the horns come out. So everybody knows how to play the roses when you shacking up and living together and everything is being fun and all that, but not when it gets different than that. It's a whole different ball game when things turn to that point. So you got to be really easy and really careful. And here's another part. And I thought about this when you were talking earlier, when we were talking about, what it's like when men move in and stuff like that, or vice versa. As a man, this is how I look at it. convenience breeds convenience. So as a man, when I'm adopting the thought of moving in because someone opened up their kind doors, what I'm really doing is I'm cultivating a spirit of convenience in her. Okay. Because if and when I'm not with her no more, now she has a palette set for convenience going forward. So now the next guy, I made the bed easier for him. So now he can live with her easily because it's like, when you think of it that way, what you're doing is, because women are the type of people that what you cultivate in them, they deliver back to you, right? And multiply if in the right setting. They'll multiply it over and over. So when we sow dysfunction into them, it leaves them with dysfunction. So the point is, if we're trying to teach them that, okay, you're convenient, and you said something earlier about, do you want something free? Think about this. You know, when I'm on these like sites like OfferUp and all them kind of things that sell things, Facebook Merchant, they always say stuff like free. They'll say curb pickup. See, I think about, they'll say it's curb, and so think about it. When you don't have no buy-in to something on tonight, you will put it on the curb. On the curb. And let them know just how much you feel about them. You could be on the curb and the next person can pick you up because I'm done. Right. But when you have something of value, people can message you all day. What if I give you, like, I've sold things plenty of time, 150. I'll put up there for 150. Somebody will say, you take 40, I don't even respond. So this is a matter of value. You know the value of what you have. You're not going to take the joke for anything somebody throw at you. Right. And so when you have a person with you that you know is valuable, you're going to handle them differently because you knew what you purchased in their spirit. They knew what they purchased in you. So you look at it like that and you grow together that way.
Yeah. You know what? It's funny because I'm okay. So Charles, you know me. When it comes to certain things, I mean, say for example, you move into a brand new house, brand new house, and you know, okay, so you want to purchase brand new furniture because the house is brand new, right? Don't that make sense? That makes sense to me. Okay, you know, but then you might have some other people that move into a brand new house and want to get furniture from their people who have used this furniture previously, and now they want to take the old rundown free furniture. Now it's free, and they want to move it into the new
house. Ooh.
See. Here's my problem. Here's my problem, and I probably inherited this from my mom.
Okay.
When it comes to certain things, and I'm gonna repeat myself again, when it comes to certain things, I am willing to pay the price because I understand that when I pay the price, there is intrinsic value in that.
Yeah.
Something for free, to me, depending on what it is, may not have any value at all. You know why? Because I didn't pay for it. Ooh. It was free.
Wow.
So why should I, if I really value you, I'm not going to put you in a position in terms of us cohabitating together for us to pretend like we're doing something that we're really not doing in the first place. And you're giving me something that really should cost me. Just like when I give you something, it should cost you. We should both be spending something. But if we're not spending anything and it's both free, then what are we really doing? And again, I'm not just talking about finances here, everybody. I need you to elevate your thinking for a minute.
Yeah.
I'm talking about the cost emotionally, mentally, and spiritually it should take from you in terms of you being in a committed relationship. Because being in a committed relationship means it's going to cost you. Let's stop acting like it doesn't. Because it does. It's going to cost you. Now, here's the thing that I want to add to that. The thing I want to add to that is this, is that when I spend and I buy and I purchase, I need to be satisfied with that purchase. I need to be satisfied with what I bought. Otherwise, I'm going to have, watch this, buyer's remorse.
Ooh, that's
Okay.
good. Wow.
So I don't mind purchasing what I purchase because I find value in that thing.
Yeah.
I'm good with this. I didn't spend too much and I didn't spend too little. I spent exactly what I wanted to spend on this because I found value in that thing. My question to us today is, do we find value in the relationships that we find ourselves in enough to be satisfied with what we've spent on them?
Ooh.
Or or are we relegated to the idea of, well, if it's free, it should be for me?
Wow.
That's all.
You know,
I'm trying to understand this thing. That's all.
you put me in the mind when you were talking. What I was picturing in my head is, to us as men and women, to stop showing up for free.
Yeah,
Like, stop showing up with no price on you.
right. You free.
Show up with a tag. Like, you know what I mean? So think about it. Many of us go into our favorite malls and stores and department stores, and we'll be like, oh, I love that. That's okay. You're saving my money up. I'm going to get that. But you can't just go in there and wreck it off the rack, right?
Right.
So, some work has to go into an application to you getting it. That's how your person should see you.
Yeah.
They shouldn't see you as, oh, you right there. Come on, let's go. You showed up free. You did everything free. Let's go. It should be a cost to obtain you.
Yeah.
Emotional, physically, spiritually, there should be a cost to it. And so many of us, we grunt and growl and we get mad about certain progresses and lack thereof in relationships, but we don't take the time and say, how am I showing up, free or with a tag? And that matters. Do you got a tag on you? Because the tag causes people to pause the way they deal with you, because they know if you do this too much, this is going to cost me this, or I can't spend that right now. So let me be frugal with them. Right. But if it's free, you're going to handle it however. Right. So we got to look at ourselves when a lot of times when we're dissatisfied in things. Mm-hmm. We always look to blame, but we need to look at ourselves and say, I can't control how that person shows up, but how do I show up that makes this person think it's okay to do or say these things? Yeah. Because it's the reason they're doing it, because they see you, how I used to always say, they don't even look. When it's free, it ain't, at least the clearance got a tag at them. When it's free, it's just out there outside. You ever drive by people's house and you see that's a nice ladder. That's a nice shit. It's on the curb. That means let me come back at night and put it in the back of the pickup truck. Because you ever notice people, even though stuff might look nice, nobody likes to just stop in broad daylight and pick up the free thing and go. Unless it's something small enough you can ride by yourself, let's go. But if it's something big, people try to come back at night when it's nighttime and sneak to grab it, which is sentimental. Right. Yeah.
Yeah. So here's how this correlates with the whole idea of cohabitation without marriage. Okay. The fact that the cost of living together in the same space, in the same place, should cost me marriage for you. I should spend the currency of marriage in order to be able to live with you. Why? Because that's how much you cost. You cost an entire marriage.
Wow. That's good.
So why should I lessen the value that's there? Guess what, Charles? Guess what? I cost, if you want to live with me, guess how much I cost? Yeah. I cost an entire marriage, baby. You're not going to get this cheap. You're not going to get this on a discount rack. This cost an entire marriage. You're not going to get this. You're not going to get
this kind of treatment costs it. Yeah. Because that's how you got to look at it. Seriously.
Absolutely.
We need a mental overhaul in how we look at this stuff, because we move. Because let me throw everybody, I'll throw them a bone. Most people, Adam, move this blindly ignorant way because they are afraid. People are afraid to commit. They're afraid to offer themselves up as a sacrifice to love because they don't think the other person sees the cost in them.
And I got you. I got
Yeah.
you. So I'm going to go back to something. I want to bring it up to the current conversation. You were talking about the person that had been divorced from marriage in terms of being married, because I've been married before. I've been married. This is my second marriage I'm on right now. It's my second marriage.
Ooh.
And absolutely, there is a degree of intrepidation when it comes to getting married again. But here's the thing, though, Charles. I realize for me that if I'm going to be with somebody, I can't be cheap with this.
Ooh.
I can't be cheap.
Yeah.
If I want it and I know what I want, that means maybe, Charles, maybe I need to save up a little bit so that when the day comes,
I can afford it. Yeah.
Because I can't go for anything less than a full-on marriage. Here's the thing, though. Let me flip it around for you. I love my wife. I love her. I absolutely adore my wife. I absolutely do. But I also understood that cohabitation was not an option with her. I understood that if I was going to be with her the way that I wanted to be with her, it wasn't just going to be us moving in together, but it was going to be me spending the currency of marriage in order to get her. So I wasn't going to allow her to settle for anything less than full-on marriage. Guess what, Charles? I cost a full-on marriage. Guess what? She cost a full-on marriage. Guess what? We both have to spend our marriage currency in order to be with each other.
On that level.
Nothing short of that was going to satisfy the cost, because neither one of us were going to do this for free. You get married, well, I'm getting married too. Come on, let's do this thing together.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's where I'm at. And I think a lot of us are selling ourselves short. We think all we can afford is to cohabitate. We think all we can afford is just a one-night stand. We think all we can afford is an affair on the side. We think all we can afford is a trick down in somebody else's bed. Come on, y'all. Ladies, gentlemen, you are worth more than that. You're worth an entire marriage. Why are you selling yourself for cheaper? You are worth so much more than that on today. Don't get me preaching up in here. You are worth more than that today. Come on, man.
No, that's real.
Come on. If you need to save it up, then save it up. Do what you need to do. But do not allow yourself to be bought for cheaper than what you're worth. You are worth marriage, not cohabitation.
I'm telling you, because like I said, convenience breeds convenience. Worst thing you can have is a degree in convenience.
Yeah.
And because everybody sees you as the 7-Eleven, you're always open.
Oh, wow.
To be like that. That's the convenience. When I grew up, I lived right next door to the 7-Eleven. So I saw it all. But the point is, it was just all the time. It was, you look at it, it don't matter. 4 o'clock in the morning, I'm going to get a Snicker bar because it's open. So the point is, but that's why I say the worst thing we can do as the responsible leads as men is to breed convenience.
Yeah.
So if you're going to breed something, breed value and breed cost. Yeah. We're not talking about money, so to speak. Right. You have to treat the person like you see them as a monumental working instrument in your life.
Yeah.
And that's the way you're going to handle them. Because Adam, listen, I felt what you said, $100 grand, because I witnessed your transition when, let's just be honest, you could have cohabitated if you wanted to.
If I wanted to, I could.
I remember you being clear. You said it to me. You said, yeah, this could be this, but I feel this way. If we can do this, we can do that.
That's right.
But I remember you said that. You were like, if we can do this, we ought to be able to do that. So that's why I'm regurgitating to say, if it gets to the point in these dealings, situations, relationships where you're constantly, and I'm not talking about a one time where somebody has a problem and you can say, or you can stay for a couple of days until they do whatever to your house. I'm talking about when you're having those conversations resounding around living together. It's really telling you something else you want that you're afraid to communicate because you don't think the person is receiving.
Yeah.
Now, granted, everybody has the right to their opinion because it is their life. So if somebody have the conversation, and if they don't see it immediately like you do in the moment, it doesn't mean the end of the world. Right. It just means you communicate what is realistic to you in terms of how you feel about timeline, whatever that may look like. But again, have the conversation before you fall to the temptation of the practice first. You know. Yeah,
so let me add this one last thing to this. And again, I might have said it, but I want to make this crystal clear that when we decide to cohabitate with one another, I lessen your value. So I no longer see you being worth a full-on marriage.
Wow.
You're only worth me cohabitating with.
Ooh.
And so I do the same to myself. When I allow you to tell me, yes, we should cohabitate, then your view of me is lessened. You're devaluing me. I'm now depreciated in my value because now I'm no longer worth. So what I'm trying to get us to understand is you have to see yourself differently. Not only that, but you have to see your other person differently. You got to see them for the value that they possess. Listen, it's okay if they're not worth a value, if they're not worth marriage to you. Okay? Because honestly, that's a subjective thing. But don't sit here and lessen your value by cohabitating with them. If they're not worth, if you don't think they're worth the marriage, then hey, it's been good, it's been nice, we had a good time. Maybe we should part ways until I find the one that's worth me spending the currency of marriage on.
Ooh, that's hashtag the currency of marriage. I caused marriage. No, hashtag I caused marriage. That's it right there.
That's right.
I caused marriage. That's the thing, for real. That's how I bet you if people looked at it that way, it would change a lot of conversations.
Yeah.
Because as of now, people are really what's happening is no one is saying I caused marriage. All they're saying is I caused you seeing about me, you being a little consistent, you taking me on a trip, you give me some steak, you doing this, that's what I cost. Those are various menu prices, but the menu does not say on their marriage. It says everything else but marriage. And so we need to add that. And that needs to be there because these little things, people can do those intrinsic things for anybody. That doesn't say they are looking at you as the answer to their life. They're looking at you as the option for the moment.
Right.
So that's what you want the person to view you as the answer, not the option.
Because Charles, check this out. Charles, if I'm the cow, I'm not giving you my milk for free.
Wow. Wow.
That's just, I mean, I don't know how much more plainer I can possibly be with this
thing. That's it. I call it.
If I'm the cow, you're not getting this milk for free.
Hello. Because we listen, if we are honest, we probably could fill up a whole bunch of grocery stores with all the milk that has been spilled and gave away for free.
Wow.
Or if we look at the milk that we done spilled and gave away, allowed someone to think it's not good. It's just terrible how much milk has been spilled on the floor.
Lord,
but listen, and here's the thing about milk.
So let me pause you on that right there. Let me stop. So here's the thing though. So milk is valuable for a dairy farmer. Milk is valuable.
Yes.
It goes in the pan. It goes in the pail. It goes in the bucket. You do not spill this milk. You know why? Because this milk is valuable. It costs.
It costs. That's good right there. You're right. Man. He's doing this. It ain't going to the ground.
It ain't going to the ground.
Look, he's preparing it for market.
Come on. Let's go.
That's what's happening.
Let's go. And you got to pay the price to get that milk.
Yeah, that's good. Oh, man. Look, you done got so much. That's it. No, for real. Because listen, this is, again, for just disclaimer. These are just, we all are having a collective conversation, and these are our opinions. So I always say that because people, I don't want nobody coming up to the studio shooting because their wives, I mean, look, their girlfriend said, you know what, boy, you need to leave tonight because I caused marriage. And you're like, man, I'm homeless because of y'all show. But no, the point I'm saying is this, because we all are susceptible. Yeah. All of us are susceptible to weak moments, insecurities, or disbelief in that the other person just don't see us like we want to be seen. And so because we don't feel that sometimes, we open up ourselves for the easy route, right? For the convenience. And so the thing is, we need to just, again, sometimes you got to pray. I mean, you don't got to be holier than thou to pray. Anybody can say the words of prayer. Pray, ask God to strengthen your mental, strengthen your abilities, strengthen your sensory, so that you can understand those people that are around you, whether they are right for you or not. Right. We need to ask for more discernment. Yeah. You don't just get the answer because you live with somebody. I promise you. Because nothing blinds you faster than convenient. You blinded. If it's convenient, all you think, what time you get home from work? Come on, I'm ready for you. All you doing is action. There is no discovery. That's the physical. And I'm giving you money on the bills. But you're not learning nothing about me because I'm putting you to sleep. Right. So we got to think about those things when we're making these decisions and go from there. But anyway, again, been there, done that. On this note, we appreciate you guys for tuning in another week to Unique Perspectives Love Talk Radio, where today we spoke about cohabitation, today's marriage before marriage. And I'm sorry, today's marriage in lieu of marriage. So we need to switch that around. Marriage needs to come first, right? It shouldn't be these options. If we getting into these positions where we are entertaining this, instead of disrespecting each other and trying to get each other for little or nothing, say to yourself, how much you got on this? I got this, what you got? Oh, we rich together. And let's go. That's right. Go from there. Anyway, we'll see you guys again Thursdays, every week, same time, same channel, 4:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. Unless something changes, we would always let you guys know. But for the most part, appreciate you guys for being here. And now, Adam, here we go. That was a pretty spiritual show, but now it's probably time to make it not that spiritual. All right, y'all. Until next time. All right, so what you got now? Now, can you hear me? I can hear you. All right, so now the rent is $3,000. Wow. Do you got 15? Where are you living where your rent is $3,000? Where are you living at, man? No, I'm just talking to Jim. Man, do you know how much rent out here is? Oh my God. That's cheap. But anyway, listen. So that need to be a mortgage, not rent. Yeah. No, I'm just saying that's how much some rent is. Believe it. So the point I'm saying is, people today, like you said, I'm not gonna do what I thought I was gonna do. I'll keep it sane. At the end of the day, go ahead. Look, most of the audience are left anyway, so go ahead. Oh, this is a sensitive. You have to keep it sane and make everybody good. And like I said, again, I know people out there, Adam, they're saying it's two sides to it. There's the money aspect, and it's cheaper to be two people and all of this, or help out, get some help. And then there is the I've been married. So unless I see something different, this is the route I'm willing to go. So, like, again, we made some good points there, and I think nothing needs to come after I cost marriage. That's just the bottom line. And so that's the price tag. That's the label. Instead of the labels we like to wear, that's the label we need to wear. I cost
marriage.
That's a t-shirt. Purpose somebody steal it. But anyway.
You know they are. You know they are. Watch. Next week they don't have t-shirts. I cost marriage.
Right. Yeah, I call. Look, I'm gonna put a trademark on tonight.
Please do. Please do. Oh my God.
All right, y'all. Well, until next time, much love. See you on the second album. All right.
Peace, y'all.